It's time for Jazz Home Delivery with Tim Tamashiro. Well, hey there, everybody. How you doing? Welcome to Jazz Home Delivery. I'm Tim Tamashiro, and it feels like almost like a summer day today because I think it was like, I don't know, maybe it was 18 degrees or something like that. So for that reason, I'm wearing my Hawaiian shirt. Trying to carry on the tradition of feeling warm for a change. In fact, the very last patch of snow in my front yard completely evaporated today. So really excited about that. And I'll tell you something else I'm excited about. I'm excited about the fact that we have a very special guest here this evening, and it's none other than our friend Kodi Hutchinson. And I'm going to pull up his information right now. There's Kodi Hutchinson. There he is. There he is. I got a little applause. Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
I'm so glad we could do this together. And you're in your office that is in the backyard, separated from the house. Tell us about your office.
My office is a third structure on the property. I have my father was an architect, my sister architect, and when I bought this house, it was a dump, and we've slowly built it up to what the planning department says we can do. And I have a lovely office that during these times is great because I have to get dressed and go outside and go across the backyard to this building. And so it's like I'm going to work.
It's amazing. And you got too much bass in that office, though. I mean, there's...
I don't know what you're talking about.
I don't even know what you're talking
Never too much bass.
You have a ton of basses in there. What's the count? I'm just counting here.
Uprights. I have two full size or two real uprights and one travel upright. Then I think I have 5 electric basses.
5 electric, yes.
A cigar box slide guitar my parents got me, and I have a digital bass, 3-string digital iPad tech bass that I'm still figuring out how to bring it out into the world at some point.
Digital iPad bass. Yeah, I'm completely flabbergasted, but well, this is the one that you showed me earlier. Look at this. It's a bass with an iPad attached to it. It's
called a Mesa Tri bass.
That is a Mesa Try So Hard bass.
Handmade in the US by a guy, and they were really reasonable. So my wife got it for a present for me.
Wow, isn't your wife great?
She is great.
You how you said to me earlier today that life hasn't changed much since all this crazy COVID stuff has happened, except that you don't play gigs at all.
Well, I realized that I'm kind of a homebody, and my wife and I had both worked from home a couple of years ago. She had done that for years, and then she got another job last year. And now she's back home. So I'm kind of like, oh, well, we're around the house about the same amount we were prior to her new job. The only difference is I'm not out at night, which, the biggest thing on that is on these is trying to avoid rust.
So you gotta get out into your shed and woodshed a little bit more than you normally would then.
Yeah, you mentioned to me you wanted me to play today, so I went and practiced a little bit, and I'm like, oh.
You did? You practiced?
Wow. Oh yeah, just a couple of 2 weeks of not consistent playing. So I need to change that. Thank you, Tim, for kickstarting me.
Oh, I'm happy to do it. Now you're a very, very busy man. In your little bio that we have set up, we have some nice comments rolling in. By the way, I just wanted to let you know, Kodi, Rob Dunbar, Leanne. Johansik?
Yes. I know Leanne. She's
Andy Hodgson's watching as well. Everybody's saying hi from different parts. Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us, by the way. A lot of you may recognize Kodi, maybe not his face, but his voice from CKUA Radio Network. Here he's the host of Time for Jazz on Thursday nights, 7 p.m., correct?
6 to 8 p.m. Thursdays, Mountain Standard Time.
Mountain Standard Time. 2-hour jazz show here that goes right across the province and around the world on CKUA.com.
You know it. There you go.
But you're busy with a whole bunch of other stuff as well. You're also the president of your record label, which is Chronograph Records, right? Yep. Chronograph Records.
Yeah, my wife and I have that with, what do we have now? About 70 albums.
And multiple Juno nominations over the years and a couple of wins.
We won our first one last year. It was,
Yeah.
I think, that was a big moment for us. So
Yeah. And that was Lila Bialy.
Lila Bialy's album, self-titled album. Yeah, she beat Diana Krall and Tony Bennett.
Ha ha ha! There you go. That's the way to do it. Go and beat the biggies, right? Way to go, Lila. So, as I've mentioned, you're a jobbing bass player, president of Chronograph Records. You're the host of A Time for Jazz on CKUA Radio Network, and on top of that, you're also the jazz programming guy programming for JazzYYC.
Yeah, the Calgary Jazz Festivals, pretty much.
So I'm surprised you have time to sleep in your normal hours.
Oh, well, fortunately, we keep ourselves busy with a 2-year-old. So
See, now this is really important to have a
this
2-year-old
beard,
as well,
Tim,
right?
was brown 2 years ago, and now it's gone white.
Well, this is that. I guess that's the added gift of if there was a gift of COVID, is that we're spending more time with our families, and goodness knows, your little girl Avery is the beneficiary of this.
She loves it. She loves that mom and dad are home so much, and she just has a great time. And it's great too, because my wife works so much. This has allowed her to connect with her daughter, and there's certain things, in every cloud there's a silver lining, and for us that's connecting with our daughter. And the work side of things, I've always worked from this room, so I'm
So you can be close to her.
Obviously there's changes, but I can look at that, and I try and keep an upbeat attitude, because the opposite does no good.
That's exactly it. The opposite does no good whatsoever. So more family time, but as far as playing time, are you planning on doing anything playing wise during your new digital era?
Yeah, I have been trying to, and this is the key words, trying to amass a bit better video and audio setup. My audio setup's pretty good, but connecting it to my computer at times can be weird. And then my video, as this camera's okay, I have a new camera that's hopefully on the way. And as I've been telling you, I've been receiving things sporadically through Amazon, and it's always on, and it makes sense. The lowest needed item shows up first, and then the second least needed item third. Whereas I'm like, no, I need those items. Yeah. Where are they? That would make my day. So it's slowly but surely. I figure in a month or so, I will be really decked out. I do look at online teaching and things like that, and I do get requests for that. So. And then as well, I do a lot of through the radio side. I get to interview a lot of cool people. So I thought I might start my own podcast with the many interviews I've amassed over the years with CKUA. Actually, it would be my 8th year with CKUA, May 12th this year. Yeah,
8th year. That is incredible. Wow, that's great. Congratulations.
Thank you.
The interesting thing I wanted to point out to the viewers, and hi everybody. Darcy Stamp says hi.
We got
Craig Eli's saying hi, Kodi and Tim. Jim Dugan's on there. So we're getting lots of nice comments, and thanks for doing that. And you can keep on doing that throughout the show, everybody. One of the biggest challenges for musicians is now we're all kind of faced with this whole new idea of, how do you hook everything up so that it doesn't go out of a loudspeaker? How does it go through a computer, So I don't know about you right now, Kodi, but I'm looking at a mass of stuff that I've collected over the years, and I've plugged it in, and somehow I've made it work. And that was the situation. That's the situation with you now. You're just trying to figure out how to plug it all in so that it'll work.
Well, and this is what's baffling. The program you're using has now, for the first time, allowed this soundboard to connect. So my computer's just being mean to me, I think, on everything else.
Well, you sound amazing. Oh, you have those rich, dulcet sounds.
Well, here's the question I have for you and the listeners out there.
Sure.
I have you coming through my reference speakers, so I'm curious if that's coming back through the mic, if there's any kind of echo on that, or if I should turn down your mic.
No, there isn't. There isn't, because I have it kind of set in a weird kind of a phase. Anyways, it's all the tactical stuff that doesn't.
I know. I just want to make sure the sound is good.
Yeah. And as you can tell, I have a dog.
Oh,
Stewie's saying hi, yeah, because there's some people outside and maybe there's a dog walking by. So that's part of the joys that radio stations and television stations don't have to deal with. But that's all good.
I could have definitely really stepped up my game if my daughter was here and just had her roaming around this room. This whole thing would have lasted
This
3
is
minutes.
this is something that we're going to work towards for the next time we have you on the show. Okay.
Perfect.
Now I
Perfect.
see you have your beautiful bass there. Tell us about your bass, and then you're going to play a little something for us.
Okay. Well, I was deciding which bass to play. My regular working bass is this one behind me.
Yep.
It's
Ellen Doty says, "Hi, Stewie. Hey, Stu, quiet."
Hey, Ellen. But yeah, the bass behind me is my regular working bass. It's the youngest in the house. It's 1960 Czech bass that we called Juicy.
Juicy, the Czech bass.
UC is actually the name.
You see.
UC. All of my basses have names, just so you know.
Okay. Well, yeah.
This one is from about 1805.
Wow.
I got it from my former teacher, John Hyde, who's out on Vancouver Island now. Beautiful bass player who used to teach at Mount Royal College.
Wonderful guy, yeah.
Formerly Mount Royal College. And yeah, I got this from him. It's, like I said, about 1805. It's a Czech bass. And,
Another Czech bass.
Yeah, so I use this when I play pops with the Philharmonic. I play this quite often. This one behind me, more straight ahead jazz. But I love the tone of this thing on its own. And it, yeah.
That's
so
amazing.
Yeah, there you go. There. That's my classical input for the day.
So what's that bass's name?
This one was named by a vocalist friend of ours, Johanna Salampa. She named it Bertha.
Bertha.
So for lack of a better term, this has been Bertha for a very long time.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, play us a little tune on Bertha. We'd like to hear what Bertha can do.
Okay, let's see how much rust I have. You asked me to play a song in context with the times. So this one you can guess. Your listeners can guess the title. This is actually the fun thing. People who can guess the title off of a bass solo. Good for them. All right.
Okay, here's Kodi. There you go. There's Kodi Hutchinson doing his thing, playing, and the many people guessing Smile. In fact, well, let's see here. Andy Hodgson says Smile. Craig says Smile. Charlie says Smile. Jim Dugan says Smile. Oh my good, everybody guessed. So I guess I must have played the right melody.
Composer, everyone.
Everybody wanted to have Kodi smile. That's why you were very serious when you were playing it.
My mom gives me grief for that when I play, that I don't smile, and yeah, I guess we all have our thinking face. So
Our thinking phase, is that what
I
we're
never
calling it?
did enough. I guess I never did theater as a kid, or anything that would have required me to have that constant smile.
Yeah.
That I can't quite do. So
You do come across a lot more serious on stage than you are in person. In person, you are quite the joker.
I that's one way to describe me. My wife doesn't use that word.
Kook, yes. So now, what else have you noticed since this whole COVID has come along? You said something about the fact that you've been getting asked to do like some collabs or all sorts of things like that.
Yeah, there's been some artists who've been doing some interesting arranging and then putting together videos where you see these online where there's all the different squares on the screen and all the different players playing.
Yeah.
I just did one of those 2 weeks ago, a week ago. The theme to James Bond with a number of musicians, led by a gentleman named Matthew James, a French horn player who's great. He has a group called Time Point.
Cool.
And then I was asked to do. There's a church in Calgary that does online services, Westside King's Church, and they asked if I could record video and audio. That actually is what started me going on the improve my video side, because I did have a couple of cameras and man, they were not good.
Really?
They were not good, Tim.
What were they, brownies?
No, they were Zoom cameras where I had the high end ones, and the video was really grainy. So that kind of got me into the mindset of, okay, I got to get a new camera. But I did some of that, and that was really cool. Because I obviously with the radio show and the record label, I'm pretty good with dealing with the audio side. But the video side was the part where I'm like, okay, I have to figure this out. So yeah, tomorrow I'm going to record a thing for, like I mentioned, that group Time Point. They're doing a very contemporary classical thing, where I'm going to contribute to that, which is fun. And I've been kind of goofing around doing some applications for things and learning how to edit video, which, as you know, is a whole other game. So yeah.
It is interesting, and that's I don't know if anybody who's any of the audience members have noticed that this is a really, really great time to learn something new. I've been taking a voice course through this wonderful instructor out of Italy. Her name is Cheryl Porter. And man, I'm just enjoying it so much. So it's like Opera Town in my house during the day. I'll take an hour and I'm learning how to form my vowels so they come out right. How to make sure my mouth is round when I sing, and to use my diaphragm and to make that tremolo happen, and all sorts of things. It's really a lot of fun. So hopefully you're getting out there trying some new things.
Well, I wanted
just
to
like
ask
Kodi
you
and
this,
I.
Tim, because you have a very wonderful voice. I remember hearing you for the first time when you did an album with the Jump Orchestra when you were many years ago, and I just remember hearing your voice going, man, like butter. So did you do like actual training on your voice, or is it just natural for you?
Hey, whose show is this? Who's asking the questions?
Me. Mine. I'm taking it over. I don't know. I want to know this.
It was all my course of study took place in the shower, like most people, and so I didn't really take any voice lessons until right around the time when I moved to Calgary. I had some problems and needed to kind of learn a little bit more about the mechanics because I was getting a little older, and so I took some voice lessons through Catherine Ardo. And recently, I've been taking some other voice lessons, just trying to find and learn more about the mechanics and how to support it. Support my instrument, because I'm getting not younger, and I have to learn how to do it more effectively. So, but I've been really enjoying it.
You can't do the Frank Sinatra route where all you do is just keep smoking heavily until your voice changes. And
yeah, just whiskey and cigarettes. That's my singing lessons. See,
this is the danger, Tim, when you put another radio host on with you. It's like, let's turn this.
Let's do the old flipperoo. Hey, we were talking about something today that was really that I found fascinating. You used a little term when you're talking about bass lessons, when you're gonna, when you taught younger bass players, and you used a term called bass Lego. Tell me about bass Lego.
Oh yeah, so every musician who teaches more than a little bit. I think I mentioned to you, I haven't been doing a ton of private students lately. I like teaching students who are pretty keen and driven. So, one of them, Craig, is on this stream right now. Hey, Craig.
Hey, Craig.
But I do go to a lot of junior high and high schools throughout the year to teach. And so you start to learn from doing that. I have one of the best first lessons ever. Like that's where most musicians are in their head. So when you have to go into a school
That's
and
cool.
you have to kind of do triage on kids, and this is the thing about this instrument. It's a bit unique in the sense that it's in most junior high schools in Calgary, for sure, other places too. There's a large population of these instruments, but most band teachers don't take this. This is considered an orchestral instrument, and it's not part of the standard education process. If you're going to become a band teacher, you learn woodwinds, brass, percussion, things like that.
Ukulele.
Yeah, ukulele. Or what's the other one? The baby marimbas, xylophones.
Yeah.
So you learn all those things, but not this. So I go into a lot of schools, and I quite often get asked the question, so how, I've got a 13-year-old bass player who just took up the instrument last month, and I want them to create their own bass lines. So you're dealing with a kid where I'm like, okay, what are the names of your strings? And they're like, I don't know. Okay, do you know a major scale? What's that? Okay, so let's create a bass line. So bass Lego is the idea that I create some very simple building blocks, like Lego blocks, right? Trademark, etc. So, for example, a walking bass line, for those who are tuning in for some reason and don't know what it is, this is just me walking. That's just me using a B-flat major scale. So it's just quarter notes: 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So what bass Lego is I take 5 simple ideas, the simplest being this. And most kids can process this shape in my hand.
Mm-hmm.
So that's idea number 1. And then we'll do this one, which is very common. Right? A lot of blues and jump blues. All right, so that's an easy. Those are 2 usable lines, and then the third one.
And those are the shapes. Those are Lego blocks.
Yeah, Lego blocks, and then this one. And then here's another one, and then another one. So if I put them together, so that's in order. But if I break it up and just do whatever I want, pretty much over one scale that the kid doesn't know, I've taught them physically how to start this walking bassline process, and then I just throw them together randomly, and you get different sounding lines. So
that's super
Lego.
Cool.
Pick the color piece you want, stick it together.
That is really, really cool. So you just basically put them into the order that you imagine them as they kind of come along. I'm doing this one, and I do this one now, and then I put this block in.
Yeah, and you can argue with most professional players. There's that whole idea of right brain, left brain. One side of the brain is kind of doing the thinking side. The other is muscle memory. So that's muscle memory I've just creating. And then once I start grabbing the pieces, that's the thinking side, putting it together.
Yeah.
And, like even players like Kenny Werner, very famous jazz piano player, says, don't go on stage with anything that you haven't practiced at home. Oh. And so you think quite often that these players are creating just in the moment. And there are players who very much attempt to do that and do that. But there's that idea of, hey, if I've got something in here, now it's a matter of ordering those pieces in a way that sound good. So, 13-year-old bass player, I walk out of there, maybe they have 5 ideas, maybe 10, depending on how quick they pick up. Then you look at a professional player, and maybe they have 700 ideas or 1,000.
Wow.
Right? And so you pick from 1,000 ideas. It's pretty infinite combinations and that type of thing. And then you can, quite often, like when jazz players solo, they take a couple of these things that are muscle memory, licks or whatever, and then they use them to sew together other ideas they're using. And so when you
Super
listen to some
cool.
famous players, this is why you hear a certain language in certain players. Some players might disagree with me on this, but
Hmm.
I'm currently on the internet talking to you, so I can say whatever I want.
Well, you've inspired me. I mean, this is pretty interesting. I'd like maybe I need to take some bass Lego lessons from you. You know what? Right after the show, I'm going to go on Amazon and order myself a bass.
And you will get it faster than all the video things I will. It'll probably
Now,
get there before you hit pay. So
after all those bass Lego lessons that you've developed or that you've learned over the years, you've also written quite a bit of music for yourself as well, right?
I have, yeah. Yeah.
And now but you're saying that your songs are a little melancholy. Is that true?
Yeah, like me off stage. I'm a joker or jokester, as you would say. But the music that appeals to me is a little more introspective. And my own group, like the Hutchinson Andrew Trio, the music that I contribute to that group is a lot more. Yeah, I'd just say introspective. That would be,
Introspective.
and I like pretty melodies. I like recognizable melodies, but I also like odd meter. I like different contemporary sounds. So yeah, it's an interesting mix, and I do that with pianist Chris Andrew, and we come up with theoretically a band that sounds like we sound. So,
Yeah.
but
Do you have one of those pretty little melodies you could play for us right now?
I can play you just a quick. I'll play the head off of one. This was on my very first album, a song I wrote after a not happy event,
Okay.
and yeah, it's called "Lost but Not Forgotten." So I'll play the melody on it, and then we'll end it at that. So,
Okay. Well, that's beautiful. Kodi
and I
Hutchinson
haven't played
here
this.
with a song that he isn't telling us the name of.
Hmm?
What's the name of the song?
I said "Lost but Not
Oh,
Forgotten."
I'm sorry. Start.
Okay.
Very nice. Very nice. We have little hand claps showing up on the internet. Hand claps. Jody Lucas says
like-
says
Just trying to
XO
remember
fellas.
it. Honestly, I'm like, I haven't played that forever.
Yeah, that's the funny thing about writing music, and I have this exact same thing. Sometimes I just can't remember the words to my own songs. Although I haven't really written a lot of songs, but I can't remember the words lots of the times. Mm-hmm. It happens. What are
Well,
you
that's
gonna
why I don't write words. They'd probably be awful if I did.
do? I'm sure it'd be really good. Now, on top of everything else that you're doing, you are now you've put together an amazing lineup for International Jazz Days that is coming up right here on Jazz Home Delivery. It starts on on April the 30th, and it goes through to May 27th. Is that correct?
28 straight days of live streams online, and it's through JazzYYC, jazzyyc.com, and we just how do I put it? I had seen the signs prior to all the major shutdowns that the reality of live events was probably not in the cards for April. And we usually do a small festival around the weekend of April 30th because International Jazz Day is April 30th. And CADME in Calgary usually brings in some heavy hitters. This year, sadly, they were supposed to bring in the Maria Schneider Jazz Orchestra with Arts Commons, and that was obviously canceled. One of the greatest bands out there, and then they keep an artist usually from these bands, and so we were going to have shows with them and shows what we were putting on, and kind of realized, well, this is probably not going to happen. What could we do? We contacted a number of our funders and said, if we went digital would you support that? And to their credit, Canadian Heritage just stepped in and said, absolutely. The city of Calgary, absolutely. And then TD Bank just stepped in. And so now the festival is called the TD JazzYYC International Jazz Days. So it's great. We're going to make sure there's going to be over 60 artists that are involved with this, probably 60 to 70 in this format. And then we also are going to put out a series of podcasts and video vidcasts that are educational that'll go up on our channels. We're doing partnerships with a number of groups like Calgary Public Library, the Music Monday, obviously UNESCO and International Jazz Days, and the list keeps growing. I keep telling you, I keep having to change the banners because we keep having to add logos from people who are stepping in. Because, my mentality is when the going gets tough, you better get moving, and
that's
so
right.
That was our mantra, and everyone at JazzYYC was super positive. Let's do something rather than do what we were seeing around the board was everyone shutting down. How can we do something, hopefully drawing a spotlight to the artists in our region and creating something different and unique? Because, I understand the reality is this could be going on for much longer than people think. And so my mindset is let's pivot this organization to virtual and online.
And it's great. And the interesting thing that I think really needs to be noted is that all the artists that will be appearing on Jazz Home Delivery in conjunction with the TD International Jazz Days, all the artists are being paid, which is...
that was the big thing. We had funding. How do we get that out to artists? And in a way that isn't just, giving money out. They're doing what they do, and hopefully helpful for them keeping their brand, as it were, as an artist visible. And what I've seen too is a couple of artists that we've been in contact. It's inspired them to be a little bit more forward thinking in getting themselves online and getting themselves moving in this direction, which I think that's a bigger byproduct of it all.
That's huge, yeah. Well, I'm really excited. The lineup, everybody, that Kodi has got set, and there's going to be 2 artists on every episode. So how we're going to juggle that is going to be really interesting, but it's going to be so much fun. And a lot of the artists are from right here in Calgary and Alberta, and Canadian artists. We even have international artists as well that we're figuring out time zone challenges with, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's really going to be really exciting. So between now and the TD International Jazz Days here on Jazz Delivery, there will only be another couple of shows until then, but then it's 28 shows in a row every day without a break. So hopefully you can tune into those things. We're really excited.
Everyone who's out there listening to Tim right now, give him a preemptive round of applause, because I don't think most people understand how much work. Like I do a weekly radio show, which I can tell you is much easier than doing an interview style show for 2 hours or 1 hour or half an hour even every single night. It's a lot of
balls in the air.
It's a lot of balls in the air. So thank you, Tim, for taking this on, and I'm really excited to see the end product. And there's a couple. This is the thing too. A lot of people don't realize some of the artists that have come out of Calgary, which is where we're based. So we're going to be bringing a few of those very well-known international Calgarians onto your show, where some people will be like, I didn't realize they were from there, and where you're going to go, wow, so.
Yeah. And who knows who else will pull in for surprises, right?
We might have...
Let's see what happens.
Knock on wood, fingers crossed. We might have some people. Yeah.
We'll just keep it at that.
That might draw some attention to help.
I just did a little drum thing on the cajon that I'm sitting on and scared the crap out of my dog. He just jumped up like crazy. He just So, anyways,
like other people have like chairs. Other people have like those Bosu balls.
Yeah,
for their core. And I'm
sitting on my cajon.
Yeah, nice cajon. Yeah.
Kodi, it's been a real treat to have you on Jazz Home Delivery, and I'm so thankful for all the good work that you're doing on behalf of all the jazz artists that you're involved with on a variety of levels. But, especially in this time of COVID, you've really stepped up and found a lot of great ways to be able to support the jazz musicians and to ensure that creativity still happens, not only in your own home, but in the homes of those artists that you're supporting.
Oh, thank you. And I'm going to throw in one shameless plug for you.
Yes.
Because on April 30th, it's International Jazz Day, which happens to coincide for once with my radio show on CKUA.
Ooh.
Where I do a time for jazz. So we're doing a special show in conjunction with JazzYYC and the Yardbird Suite in Edmonton, where we're doing a special broadcast. When you launch with Jazz Home Delivery, I'll also be on the air simultaneous with you.
They have to choose?
That's
oh my
right.
God.
Well, then the thing is, my show won't be rebroadcast. So,
Yeah, that's a good point. And that's something else that all the viewers can remember is that you can watch all Jazz Home Deliveries on Facebook, more or less in perpetuity, so make sure you do that. Lots of nice comments coming in. Sandy Van Vooreen, nice applause. Jody Lucas, applause. We got Brian Dietrich saying that he misses Tim Tam on his Ontario radio. Lorraine Murray, Jim Dugan, Leanne giving big applause. And Sandy Van Vooreen is wondering when the big lineup is going to be released. Do you have...
what's the date today? The 21st?
Today's the 21st, yeah.
Theoretically, our publicist will be launching... We're going to launch the lineups every week.
Yeah.
So every Thursday before the previous Thursday, we'll have the lineup. So this Thursday, we will launch the lineup for the first week of Jazz Home Delivery. So we'll launch from April 30th to May 6th. Those will be launched, and then a week later, we'll just keep launching the next lineup. And so keep your eyes on it, because we have some artists brewing that might help bring more of a spotlight to this and these wonderful artists that we have in our region that deserve a spotlight shown on them.
There you go, Sandy. So Thursday, keep an eye open on Thursday, and the information is going to be there for you. Really excited about doing this. Ladies and gentlemen, big round of applause for Kodi Hutchinson, broadcasting with way too much bass from his home office, and his smiling face and his great audio setup. It sounds amazing, but wait till you get this brand new camera, because it's going to be absolutely amazing. So big round of applause. I have an applause button here now, and I'm pretty excited. I'm pushing it right now. You can't do it. I'm pretty sure they can. Anyway, thank you very much, Kodi Hutchinson, for being a guest here on Jazz Home Delivery. I'll be back on Tuesday next week as I'm building up to this big, long stretch. I've decided to keep things down to just one show per week. So thank you very, very much for tuning in to Jazz Home Delivery. I'm Tim Tamashiro on behalf of Kodi Hutchinson. We'll see you again real soon. See you next week. Bye-bye.